Coming up, the rain ruins a Shohei Ohtani pitching day, and the Rangers get a win, but at what cost? This is Locked On Game to Game, MLB.
Every game, every team, every angle. Locked On Game to Game, your team every day.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Game to Game MLB. Local experts join us to go over all of the games from last night in Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. It was a great start for Jacob deGrom, but it was cut short due to a wrist injury. Texas still held on for the win over Kansas City. Locked On Rangers goes over what went down.
The Rangers once again give it to the Royals, a 4-0 victory where the pitching was absolutely astounding, but all thoughts of Rangers fans are with Jacob deGrom, who left this one after 4 innings with right wrist soreness as a precaution. I'm Bryce Patrick, host of the Locked On Rangers podcast. This was a thorough drubbing by the Rangers, got a couple of base runners on early and a Josh Young 3-run home run that kind of put this thing out of reach for the Royals. The Rangers added an insurance run by Marcus Semion's third home run of the season, 4 no-hit innings for the Rangers starter, the Rangers ace, and this is the second time in a week where the Rangers have had a key player get injured. Last week it was Corey Seager. Hopefully it is nothing too serious with Jacob deGrom. Dane Dunning pitched excellent in his 4 1/3 innings of relief work. Rangers get the 4-0 victory, and hopefully Jacob deGrom's okay for next time.
The Cubbies get another win over Oakland thanks to some stellar starting pitching. Locked On Cubs is in with a full recap.
The Cubs take care of the A's tonight. They have now won 5 of their last 7 games. Hayden Wesneski, the story. 7 strong for the Cubs. Really needed a bounce-back outing, and he provided that. Cubs had the bats going. Patrick Wisdom with his 4th straight game with a home run. Cody Bellinger is absolutely on fire, and the Cubs, dare I say it, the Cubs are rolling at 9-6. They have 2 more games with the A's this week, and then 4 against the Dodgers, who we just saw last weekend at Wrigley. The Cubs are playing good baseball right now in every facet. They were playing good baseball before this trip. They're just now starting to see the results, and it's really nice to see. But the big story today, Hayden Wesneski, bounce back outing, needed it, got it, was really good. Little rocky the first 2 innings or so. Then the Cubs gave him a nice lead, and he settled in and really found a rhythm. So great stuff today from the Cubs. Let's get another one tomorrow night.
Rain spoiled Shohei Ohtani's outing in Boston, and the Red Sox snuck away with a 2-1 win on Patriots Day. Locked On Angels has more from Fenway Park.
It was a marathon game on Boston Marathon Day as the Angels beat the Red Sox 5-4. And man, it feels good to at least get one game after losing the first 3 in this series. What's going on, everybody? It's John Frisch, one half of Locked On Angels. We all set our alarms early so that we could watch Shohei Ohtani pitch. Unfortunately, the rain delay caused the game to start an hour late. Shohei got in there for 2 innings with a 5-1 lead, thinking, this is great, he's going to cruise to the end of the game. And then there was another rain delay, which ended his start prematurely, unfortunately. But I got to say, Tucker Davidson held it down pretty well. 3 1/3 innings, pitched, 1 run. Carlos Estevez was able to get the save. The bullpen held it down other than Aaron Loop, as usual. And we got the win with Hunter Renfroe getting a big home run, Zach Neto getting his first big league hit. Feels good to at least take one after such a disastrous weekend. Mike and I are going to break this game down for you on Locked On Angels, and we hope you'll join us.
Usually Tampa is the team blowing out their opponents, and the Reds are having pitching problems. Those 2 things were reversed on Monday. Locked On Rays and Locked On Reds are in to explain.
And that's why you have to play the games. My name is Ulysses Zambrano, host of the Locked On Rays podcast. The Rays drop a gut-wrenching loss, 8-1 by the Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati. Not a lot went right for the Rays here. It was a bullpen day. Unfortunately, Beeks got behind. He pitched well for 3 innings, but gave up a solo home run. But it was Kevin Kelly who had the most trouble, could not find the strike zone, and the Reds capitalized on it. And while Hunter Green did not give length to the Reds, everybody else was able to, quiet down the Rays bats. The Rays now lose 3 games out of their last 4. Not fantastic, but what can you do? Stay tuned. Rays up.
What bullpen problems? All right, yeah, I know, it's only one night, but hey, the Cincinnati Reds bullpen came through on Monday night. What's up? This is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast, and the Reds get the series with the Rays started off at Great American Ballpark with a win. Lots of hitting, lots and lots of run support for the Reds pitching staff that needed it. Hunter Green goes out early after taking a line drive off of his shin. X-rays are negative, which is good to hear, but the bullpen had to get 18 outs in this game, and they did. And it was a day after they had to get 18 outs on Sunday. You'll love to see the performance that they gave. They only allowed one run. Garbage time in the ninth inning wasn't that big of a deal. With so much to talk about. TJ Friedl, awesome night. Kevin Newman breaks out. Make sure you join us on the next Locked On Reds podcast.
Coming up, the Pirates beat up on the Rockies. This is Locked On Game to Game MLB. Today's edition of Locked On Game to Game is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Baseball is back. It's the perfect time for you to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get that no-sweat first bet of up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up, place your first bet, and you get that $1,000 back in bonus bets. You can also group some of your bets together to get that same game parlay. Don't miss your chance. Head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel is an official partner of Major League Baseball. Welcome back. You're listening to Locked On Game to Game MLB. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you again for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. Another cold start to begin a series for St. Louis as they fall to Arizona. Locked On Cardinals goes over some of the disturbing trends they're seeing.
One bad inning, that's all it took. And the Cardinals dropped their 6th series opener of the season. Hey, it's JD from Locked On Cardinals. And you may be asking, hey, JD, 6 series opening losses? How many series have they played so far? The answer is 6. They have lost the opening game of every series so far this season. They also fell behind in the first inning for the 7th time in 17 games, which is another awful trend that this team needs to shake at some point. Jack Flaherty cruising until the 7th inning when he allows a leadoff home run, then a double, then a walk. He gets yanked. Palante comes in, walks the first guy he sees on 4 pitches, and then serves up a grand slam, and the game is essentially over. The starters can't go long enough. The bullpen is fried. The offense can't put any rallies together. They're back at it on the field tomorrow night at 6:45 from Busch. It's got to get better. For the latest updates and info, be sure to keep it Locked On Cardinals.
Houston blows out Toronto on Monday night. Locked On Astros goes over the big names that you need to know. Locked On Blue Jays goes over one they would like to forget.
This is Eric Heisman with the Locked On Astros podcast, and Astros fans have been complaining about a lot recently. The Astros don't score enough. Jake Myers, he's not doing enough. Jose Abreu, where's the power? Well, a lot of that was answered in tonight's game where the Astros exploded for 7 runs in the first inning off of Kevin Gausman, who's a pretty good pitcher. And then you had Jake Myers, of all people, hit a 3-run homer. He even looked surprised that he did it. And he also had another hit later in the game. And then you had Corey Julks hit a double and a home run. He looks like he's on fire. And then Jose Abreu in the first inning also added a 109 miles per hour 2 RBI double. So the Astros offense supported Christian Javier in this game. And we're going to talk about it on tonight's Locked On Astros podcast.
Hello, friends. Craig Ballard, Locked On Blue Jays. Oh boy, how ugly was that? My goodness. If you remember this, we can be friends. If you're a big time, I say big time because Michael Scott had left already, but if you're a big time fan of The Office, you remember that a corporate had Gabe become, they called him the toilet. They got him to flush things. So if there was something you didn't want to do yourself, you sent it to Gabe so he'd flush it down the toilet for you. Well, remember they get him to flush Dwight Schrute, and Gabe sticks out his arm to Dwight and he says, Dwight, grab my hand here. And Dwight grabs Gabe's hand, and as soon as he makes contact, Gabe goes, flush. As in, like, I just flushed you down the toilet, right? That's what the Blue Jays need to do with this game. Flush this one right down the toilet. In the rear view, it was as ugly as it gets. Tomorrow on Locked On Blue Jays, going to be joined by Fox MLB analyst and Flipping Bats podcast host Ben Verlander. Great conversation. That's going to put a smile on your face. That's going to help wipe out some of the taste from tonight's game.
Pittsburgh scored 2 touchdowns worth of runs in Denver on Monday night. Locked On Pirates goes over the win. Locked On Rockies making a case their team might be the worst in baseball.
you can raise the Jolly Roger at Coors Field as the Pittsburgh Pirates unload on the Colorado Rockies with 16 hits, 14 runs, and a 14-3 clobbering of the Colorado Rockies in Denver. Andrew McCutchen got things started, and the Pirates ran from there. Rich Hill picked up his first win as a Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher, pitching 6 innings and only allowing 1 earned run, but the offense was the story. Everybody got in on the action, and the Pirates will try to continue to bring the action tomorrow offensively against the Colorado Rockies in Game 2 of the series. My name is Ethan Smith of the Locked On Pirates podcast, and I will see you.
Rock on Rockies fans, Paul Holden here from the Locked On Rockies podcast, and the Rockies continue to be the worst team in baseball. There is no team playing worse baseball than the Colorado Rockies right now. This team has committed the most errors in baseball. This team just got blown out at home by the Pittsburgh Pirates. This team is honestly playing terribly. There's no way to sugarcoat it right now. There's no positives. There's no silver linings. It's an empty ballpark with a team that's underperforming, with all of the signs of the first 100-loss season in Colorado Rockies history, but pointing to it happening. Yes, it's early, but this team has not bounced back, has not handled adversity, has not changed anything, and continues to just get dominated and continue to lack the ability to play the fundamentals. And until they get back to the fundamentals, the Rockies will continue to lose. Talk about it all on Locked On Rockies.
That's a wrap for this edition of Locked On Game to Game MLB. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. Make sure that you're subscribed to Locked On MLB and your favorite team's Locked On podcast on YouTube and wherever else you get your podcasts from. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Game to Game.